All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a world where language is, well, it's so much more than just words. Think of it like a code, a hierarchy, almost a kind of social DNA. We're talking about the linguistic codex of a place called Arreqqana.
Now, that quote, that's not just some poetic line. That single sentence is really the key to understanding their entire worldview. It opens up this idea of a world where every single word has weight, a place where language is a super precise tool, not just something you play around with.
So, what's the big idea here, right? What's the one core principle that kind of unlocks this whole system? Well, it's a concept that's actually both incredibly simple and pretty revolutionary.
See, in Arreqqana, being multilingual isn't just some cool party trick. No, it's a sign of social maturity. It shows you're a fully functional member of society. And that's because each language is seen as a specialized tool, like a specific key designed to unlock a very specific part of life.
Okay, so how does this philosophy actually play out in the real world? Let's start big. We're going to look at the public sphere first, the languages that literally build and maintain the very fabric of their society.
Okay, first up, Huya Namara. I want you to imagine a language with absolutely no slang, no tricky idioms, zero cultural baggage. That's what this is. It's the ultimate neutral ground. It's the language of pure, unadulterated logic, which, makes it the perfect tool for things like forging treaties or closing business deals across different star systems.
And this is so important. See, this isn't just about being polite. In Arreqqat, trust is basically a currency. And Kianamara, that's the gold standard. When you use this language, you're not just making a promise. You're basically entering into a sacred contract.
All right, now let's step into the halls of power. Here we have Kiaya Kesamara. This is the language of government, of law and order, and it is all about surgical precision. Every single word can be a weapon, and every sentence could literally be a verdict.
So you might be wondering, why all the formality? Well, it's not just for show. In a world where words have the power to create and destroy, this incredibly rigid structure is almost like a cage. It's a way to bind authority to accountability. It creates a system where every promise is a chain and every law is a lock. There's no wiggle room.
But, okay, what about the heart of the people? What about the language that actually binds everyone together? That's where Kyria Tarun comes in. This is the national tongue. Think of it as the anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance. It's the shared story that turns a random collection of individuals into a unified nation.
And this is a powerful idea. It's so much more than just a passport. In Arreqqana, your language is your citizenship. It's the ultimate line in the sand, the one thing that separates an insider from an outsider.
All right, let's zoom in a little bit closer now. We've got Kia Chorist. This is the language of your specific state, your province, basically your home turf. It's the voice you hear on the local news, the language on your driver's license. It's the sound of your everyday life.
Okay, but that's all the big public stuff. What about the other side of the coin? What about the languages of the heart? The ones that define not what you do, but who you are? Well, now we're stepping into the personal sphere.
And here we find Kiya Natariin. This is the language of your community, your tribe, your crew, your people. It's the language of inside jokes and shared memories. It's a history that isn't written in books, but one that lives in the hearts of the people who speak it.
It really is the glue that holds a community together. You could say that while the national language builds a country, it's this community tongue that builds a neighborhood, a found family, a real home.
Okay, now let's get even more specific and talk about something we can all relate to: dialects and accents. In Arreqqana, your dialect, the Kiavara, is basically your life story. It's the rhythm of your hometown, the sound of your childhood. It's the one thing you really can't fake.
I just love this quote. It's such a beautiful way of saying that your accent is so much more than just how you talk. It's a map, it's a compass, it's a living testament to your journey through the world. And now, let's go to the most intimate place of all, home. This is Kuya Nami, the language of your family. It's the language of silly nicknames, of secret codes that only you guys get. It's a language of love that's often spoken not in the words themselves, but in the quiet spaces between them.
And here's the crucial difference between this and all the other languages we've talked about. You don't sit down and learn it from a book. You just absorb it. It becomes a part of who you are. It's a gift from your ancestors, and it's a legacy you'll one day pass on.
But there's one more personal sphere. What about the soul? What about the language of the divine or the inner self? This is Kufia Valara, the sacred, ancient language used for prayer, for personal vows, for rituals, for connecting with something bigger than yourself. And this next idea is pretty radical. Think about that. In a world where we think of language as being all about communication with others, Kuya Valara is a language for introspection. It's a tool for tuning your own instrument, for finding your own frequency, and aligning yourself with the music of the universe. So, we've seen all these different languages, from the galactic stage all the way down to the privacy of your own mind. How does this all fit together? What does it actually mean to be a citizen in a world where language is, quite literally, everything? Well, believe it or not, the answer comes down to a number. A single number that defines your place in society, your role in the world, your very identity. And that number is 5. That's right, 5. For standard citizenship, you're required to speak 5 tongues. And this isn't some random collection. It is a carefully curated linguistic toolkit. It's a set of keys that unlocks every single door in their society. With the planetary, national, your dialect, family, and spiritual languages, you're not just considered a citizen, you're considered a whole, complete person. But it's not just about which language you speak. It's also about how you speak it. They have these social registers. You have to know how to code switch. You need to know when to use high Arreqqana, that's the formal, ceremonial stuff. You need middle Arreqqana for daily life and business. And you need low Arreqqana for raw, expressive moments, for survival, and for intimacy. And this really brings us to the ultimate takeaway, the single biggest lesson from this whole system. I mean, in a world where language is so often used as a weapon, they've reframed it as a duty, a responsibility to connect, to understand, to build bridges instead of walls. So that leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What about us? In our own world, where we're more connected than ever, but somehow often more divided, what would happen if we started to think about our own languages not just as a birthright, but as a responsibility? A responsibility to truly listen, to learn, and to maybe, just maybe, try to see the world through someone else's eyes for a moment. What do you think would change?